3 feet away. And in this hallway, and we opened up fire. I wound up firing 5 rounds at that time. My partner got hit immediately. And he went down and emptied his gun as he's going down. He fired 6 rounds, and the perpetrator fired 6 rounds. And this is like 17 shots.
No night sights, people. No night sights. Get off your trichicans.
No flashlights, night sights. 3 feet in front of us and getting closer because the guy tried to run past me. How I wasn't hit, the place started to be like a strobe light, and the bullets were ricocheting everywhere. My partner got hit 5 times, direct hits, and took 2 ricochets because there was one in his back and one in his forearm that they took out at the hospital with a tweezer. But the other bullets hit him, dead center. He tried to run past me, so the gunfight actually got closer than 3 feet. And I had 1 bullet left in my gun. And when I grabbed him by the trap, by the shoulder, I pressed my gun against him. He ran into it, and I fired and killed him. And at that moment, it seemed like all the police were rushing into the apartment because they were still responding from the burglary. Mm-hmm. Then I picked up the radio that my partner had. He was still alive, and thank God. And I called in a 1013. My partner shot. So they were there like in seconds, and we carried him down. We didn't even wait for an ambulance, And we rushed him into a radio car. And there were so many radio cars on the block that it was tough to pull out. If you ever saw a police shooting, we would get him into the car, and we couldn't leave. They couldn't leave because
everybody's piled up in the street.
The guy started to back up as best they could, but the radio car with him in it started to hit cars to move them out of the way. And then they radioed to Highway Patrol, who blocked every intersection. So even with your light and siren on, you do still have to have some caution. And
when you go through an intersection, you start puckering up.
They had a clear runway like a racetrack because Highway blocked every intersection. We got him over to Jacoby Hospital, which was a couple of miles away, and they saved his life. And he was shot in the part of the heart, a bag, a sac under the heart that holds fluid. It was a very serious shooting,
Yeah.
And they saved his life. Thank God.
I know. I interviewed him in one of the episodes. I was like, look at him. I said, he's still alive.
Yep, that was the shock at the end of the show.
Yeah.
I
thought the same thing. I was like, wow, 5 shots. They shot him in the heart.
And then there's an interview. We sent the film crew up to where he was because he was way out of state.
Yeah.
And we filmed him. We didn't mind. And, he told the story. And he was alive. It was a dramatic ending to the first episode of the season. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I thought you had a crazy career. So I saw the one that you had to deal with the rapist, the Williamsburg.
Williamsburg rapist.
Yeah.
There was a guy committing a lot of rapes in the area. I almost got myself in a lot of trouble in that case. But, there was a meeting that the bosses held.
That's the one you walked out of?
And I walked out.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And man, they wanted to kill me. And just luckily for the public and for myself, that we caught the rapist that night. But I knew I had this girl, one of the victims. She was very, very into helping us, and she wanted to drive around at all times with us, and she was. And I wanted to get out of that meeting really because I wanted to, pick her up and drive her around. Me and my partner, we had this rapport with her, and she would go out with us anytime. And it just happened to be, it saved my career, I guess, that I caught him that night. Because the bosses were ready to kill me.
Otherwise, you were getting fired in the morning.
I was going to have a rough time here. Sometimes my big mouth gets me in trouble.
I see you got, playing. You were quite the Lance Romance. I'm feeling the player on you right now, Mr. Freeman. We smell our own. We smell our own. I see they tried setting you up for the okie doke one day.
Yeah, that was the girl.
That was kind of crazy.
Pretty hot. And
she was hot in the damn series, and whoever casted her, he definitely.
She was hot in the series.
Exactly. So
I don't know if I could have stood in that part.
But let's talk about how they tried
to get yourself in
trouble.
They tried setting you up for the okie doke. I see on that one. Let's talk about that one.
Well, what happened was I was dating this girl, and took her out a few times. Things were going good, and
a Latina.
Of course.
And you know what they say with a Latina, when you get married, you don't need a best man, you need a cut man. So, you should have known already.
I was dating quite a few at the time. But what happened was we got to a point where I was gonna go up to her house, you know, and we were gonna get it on, and what happened was, I wound up, believe it or not, with a collar, you know, so I couldn't make it, and she was pissed, you know, and I said, no, you know, we'll do it the next day or something, you know, so the next day I get to work, and we're out on patrol, me and my partner, and we get a 10-2, and we know what a 10-2 is, but I say to my partner, it's report to the house. But I said, man, what the hell's that about? We looked at each other. We didn't know what trouble we were in this time, you know. So we get to the house, and the boss says to my partner, you go back on patrol, you know. And I go into the office.
We're going to be here for a while.
And the boss is there with 2 suits there. So I thought it was like internal affairs or somebody, you know, wanted to question me about something.
At the
You
hot
know,
day
because when
farm.
you're an active cop, you know, you're always, you know, have to answer for things.
If you don't do nothing, your name never comes up for nothing.
Exactly. So these 2 guys, I thought they were internal affairs or something, winds up there from intelligence division. And they said, do you know this girl, Lucy? I said, I was like in shock. I didn't expect that. And I said, yeah. You know, they said, well, did you have a date with her last night? And I said, yeah, but I didn't make it. I got stuck in a collar.
Why are you in my business, son?
Yeah, right? So, well, one was a boss. You know? One was a boss, one was a exec. So I said, yeah, what's up? He says, well, that girl was, when you were supposed to go to her house, there were 2 or 3 hitmen in her closet waiting to kill you. I said, what? I mean, I thought it was in the Twilight Zone, you know? And he says, yeah, that shooting that you had like 8 months ago up on the roof where I had to shoot 2 guys, killing one of them, that was her brother I killed 8 months ago.
Wow.
And they don't know if there were 2 or 3 guys there. And a lot of people ask me, was she placed under arrest or anything? So the reason why she was never arrested. And, you know, I just never had nothing to do with her again. But the reason she wasn't arrested was because it was a he said, she said, no evidence, right? Except that. And they would have burned, the case wouldn't have gone nowhere, and they would have burnt
The CI.
Because their CI was a guy that they considered a perfect CI. If you gave him 10 tips, all 10 were good.
Oh.
So you don't want to burn a guy like
Yeah,
that.
it ain't worth
and
it.
on a he said, she said, it wouldn't have went nowhere.
I couldn't believe that case where you said the dude had like a .308 rifle and he's shooting it off the building like
That
nothing.
was the case where her brother was
Yeah,
involved.
but you're saying this guy was just shooting a rifle off the.
Yeah, that's how it was in the Bronx. The guys,
Did you see that episode?
Yeah, yeah.
This
We're
dude
doing
shooting a
it
rifle
undercover.
off the building at people. This is like
Yeah, it was an undercover
Nope.
gun deal.
like me and this
And
guy.
they wanted
We've
to show him that it worked.
like we've thrown apples, snowballs at cars. We've never shot at a
And they
vehicle.
throw 30 on
Exactly. You know, as kids, you know, like during, you know, at the end of the season, like, you know, the apples are falling off the tree. We'd grab a dozen, put them in our jackets. Yo, let's go hit up a car or 2. We never thought we should shoot off the roof. That's
And they would
just
test guns,
savagery.
you know. And this guy turned himself into like a sniper. So we were undercover. We were hiding. It was me and my squad commander. We were hiding, and we were going to wait. The plan was for our CI to purchase the gun, and this way
Then you got
we
the
would have
sale.
possession of it. So we figured out of the 2 guys, the seller and the undercover.
Take it out of the equation.
Yeah, it would be in a little safer hands until we could appear. But when this guy started opening up on the public, you know, we had to show ourselves, and he turned the gun on us. And there was a 3rd guy up there that we didn't even figure on. There was another guy with the gun salesman.
No, they weren't fucking around.
No, so the guy turned the rifle on us, and we opened up on him, and I shot him. He went down. We got the gun, and then the other guy, my CI hit the deck, and the other guy ran behind, like a kiosk behind on the roof, which was like a chimney coming up, and we couldn't see him. So by that time, I emptied my gun on the first guy. So I pulled out a second gun, and I was working my way around on the roof to where this guy was. And when I turned the corner of this kiosk, he had his arm raised, and he was just going to stab me in the head. And I felt my finger tighten on the trigger, but it was so fast that before my finger could pull the trigger back, I hear a shot. My partner shot him in the back because he thought he was going to stab him. So then we went to go get the gun. He says, my boss tells me, go get the gun off the other guy who was laying on the roof. It was away from him, but we wanted to secure it better. And as I go to cross the guy that my partner just shot, he starts to get up again with the knife. So I had to shoot him in the stomach, and I killed him right there. And that was the brother of the girl I was dating, who I was dating later on.
5 degrees of separation, whatever the hell they call
Yeah.
it. 6 degrees separation.
Amazing, right?
That's just insanity, you know.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, that was a crazy episode, and you know, when they said she had 3 dudes setting you up for the
Life takes a
okey
lot of
doke,
different turns, you know.
you know, you know, everybody in here is a use of force instructor, so we kind of laughed at one of your situations.
Well, my buddy Bill here, he's you know, life and that.
Lethal force, firearms. But we were kind of looking at your little boardwalk incident with
Yeah, that was a guy I noticed from. I used to study the wanted posters, believe it or not. And I'm walking on the beach,
You were looking for work.
and I see this guy right there in front of. And at that point, actually one of the few times in my life that I wasn't armed, you know, so I had to go over and knock him out. You know, and the cops came over, and everybody started screaming on the boardwalk and stuff. The guy's laying there, and the cops responded. I said, "Well, this guy's wanted in Brooklyn, and here I am in the Bronx." And the cops looked at me and said, "How do you know that?" I said, "I saw him on a wanted poster." They couldn't believe it, but it was the guy.
Now, what made the guy stick out in your head? Ugly ass dude,
I don't
big
remember
dude.
exactly. Today it was like about
Yeah,
50 years
yeah.
ago. But there was something, I just remembered him. And it wasn't a tattoo or something very distinctive. Just something that I recognized. I don't know why.
So I think that's one of your off.
And you know, he's one of the guys who approached me like 5 or 6 years later, maybe 7 years later. He came over to me at the precinct, and he says, he called my name, and I was like on guard already.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I had my hand near my gun, I had my feet spaced, I had my groin covered, you know,
Yeah.
covered them at a different
Well, that's the
angle.
difference between somebody calls you by your last name and your first name. You're like, huh? You know me?
And then he came over and thanked me. He says he went to prison, and he wound up, they did his dental work for free. You know, and he thanked me, and he says that I straightened my life out after that. I'm doing construction now. I want to thank you. You know?
So he ended
I
up-
was on guard for the guy, but
You ended up saving his life, basically.
I think you know, there's a few people like that. I got a letter that's hanging in my office den where I slapped around this guy once, you know. I went in a building, he went into the building and they were hanging out. Slapped him around a little, you know. And he wrote me a letter like 30 years later. Says, you know, I was really scared of you and I became a cop and now I'm retired.
Oh wow.
So it had to be like you know,
Yeah.
30 years later. And
Yeah.
I got that letter hanging on my
That was another scare straight
yeah, and he was
moment.
thanking me for it. He said, all my parents, everyone knew about you, all my family and stuff. He
Ralph
said,
Freeman hanging
"And
out,
you
beat downs,
confronted
and
me in that
redemption."
hallway, and you set me straight. He said, I became a cop and retired now myself.
I guess with a name like Fort Apache, you had to be that way.
So, yeah.
You had to be a tough guy.
Crazy stuff. You know, we got so much more to hit, but big question. You think you could do the job today?
No.
Exactly.
I always thought, up till about a couple of years ago, I always thought I could adapt. You know, I always thought I could, you know, work my way around it, use the knowledge, you know, learn everything that's new and do it. But I think the last couple of years, I think that, listen, police work was always dangerous, a difficult and dangerous job. But every generation has their own problems with policing. And there's no respect for law and order, no respect for the police. The politicians are casting laws that are almost impossible to work around. And then you get these riots and stuff, and they're telling officers that are witnessing felony crimes to stand down.
Ralph Freeman hurt my feelings.
You know, it's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough today.
Yeah, there's a big article in today's paper saying how tickets dropped. People haven't been getting tickets. Nobody's taking a proactive
Well,
approach to policing.
they don't want to do their job because you could get jammed up.
That's it.
You take an action. They pass these laws on restraining prisoners, people that fight back.
Connecticut, they got that police accountability bill. They wanted to be the first ones in the nation.
They're
There's
the
no
flag.
research and
This state is the flagship of
Handcuffed
bitch assness.
No, I think New York is even worse.
Yeah, New York was first, but these guys want to be a flagship of bitch assness, of this social
You
decay.
can't even
And the thing
restrain
is,
somebody.
I don't think anybody worse than DiBiase, whatever the New York mayor is.
you know what I mean? You got, you know, and the thing is, you know, we all talk about it, is you're trying to restrain somebody and fight fair, but he doesn't have to fight fair.
No,
And you got a bunch of suit and ties making laws on use of force policy. Number one, they've never gotten into a fight. The only struggle they've ever had is with their sexuality at most, and they probably lost that
Well,
one.
which bathroom do you use?
Yeah, what bathroom? You know, oh my God, what am I identifying today? This or that? And then you're looking at somebody going, well, how do we get them restrained? Well, let's just take that away. Well, guess what, man? You know, it's like my pops used to say, everybody wants to see a steak in the styrofoam and the cellophane in the case. Cats don't want to think about somebody took that animal to slaughter. Somebody cut it up. Somebody trimmed it up and put it on that styrofoam. But these people, and once again,
These people that pass these laws,
Exactly.
and all this stuff, the city councils and politics,
ivory towers.
they have never been in a fight. They never went into an alleyway 3 in the morning in the ghetto.
The last time they hit someone was with a friend request on Facebook.
They they have no idea what a police officer does.
No, they don't, Ralph.
Not a
And
clue,
it's atrocious.
These are the guys that are top of the class at the academy, so they
I think
already get picked
One
out
of the
for
qualifications
administration.
for being a politician should be driving around with a police unit and see what they go through on different shifts in different neighborhoods. And as far as judges go, they should be held accountable. Just like everything a police officer does, we're under the microscope. And you gotta be judged and held accountable. They always use this word accountability, but they only apply it to the police. Why not the DAs who don't prosecute? What about judges who let them go free? Guys that are out there.
Give them a program.
You guys have dealt with the guys, the worst of the worst, that they wind up in prison. But you gotta commit like 50 vicious felony crimes to get in prison, it seems like.
And then you go to prison and you have more rights than you do out in the street.
It's just terrible. And then they let you out. Then they commute the sentence, or they pardon the things. And,
I always found the accountability thing so funny because
yeah, only the police.
because check this out. I got a dog, right? My dog bites the neighbor's kid. What did they do to my dog? They got to put my dog down because he bit the kid next door. The kid's soccer ball went into my wife's flower bed, and my dog bit him. Okay, they got to put my dog down. Now,
and they want to sue you.
Okay, none of the sue, but hold on a second. Hold on. Here in the USA, if you buy a vehicle, right, and the vehicle is plagued with a problem that the dealer can't fix, what do they label that vehicle as? A lemon law. Under the lemon law, they have to destroy that vehicle. No parts can be sold off the vehicle because they have said that this vehicle right here keeps on victimizing the U.S. consumer. But you could be a fucking habitual sexual offender, and they keep on letting you out like a fucking ping pong.
Same with robbers, rapists.
But a dog bites one kid, and they got to put him down. But you could keep on molesting. You could keep on being a fucking predator.
Yeah, that's why the yellow sheep.
So you hold a dog more highly accountable.
So you're talking about accountability, and right now I'm watching a case that just went down. And it didn't happen. It happened up here in Hartford, where the kid was arrested with a firearm on school grounds. So there is a federal law, Gun Free School Zone Act, that you can't be on school with a gun unless you're a cop and you're working there. They never charged him with the federal crime. You know why? Because the state can't call the feds and say, do your job. It's sad. So the kid will skate, and he'll probably get something for trespassing and no firearms charge. So that's our illustrious state for you.
And he's going to mutate into what? But look what every time somebody asks me this, I go, look at the bottom of your license plate. What's it say? Constitution, state.
Mine says Constitution.
You got a custom plate. That means you're one of those sovereign cats, right? You're
Paper plates.
you're a free man amongst the law.
Your house?
You
never
know?
had a sovereign citizen take your house?
Oh,
Oh,
dude.
come on.
I dealt with a couple of them.
I was one of the first to get sued in our department by sovereign. We didn't know what the hell a sovereign citizen was. I got a manual sent to me from NYPD. I was like, what the fuck is this? I had to read them, but I got a couple videos.
I am a
was like,
free man
oh,
amongst
shit.
the world.
Yeah, I was
Your
like,
authority means nothing. This guy, remember the first time a guy busted out a Constitution on me? And I'm looking at this gibberish, and he goes, your authority means nothing. And we were transporting this dude, right? And it's me and this really good, really gritty ghetto officer. Great guy. And he keeps messing with this black officer. And it's funny because because he was. So the officer finally looks at me. So this officer looks at me and he goes, yo, Jimmy, you got to handle this dude or I got to. And I'm like, so the guy keeps on saying, I don't respect your authority. I don't talk to the police. And I'm like, So you're saying right now, if I split your wig right now, you wouldn't want to talk to nobody? The dude just looked at me and I go, dude, shut up. Stop saying stuff to my partner. Because you're at his end right now. You keep disrespecting my partner, saying what you're saying, you're going to get it. And yeah, those people are crazy. I don't, I'm a free man amongst your authority means nothing.
Anonymous zones.
And yeah, those,
I'm gonna sign this under duress. Let it be known.
the scariest thing is
Nah,
when they
you signed
talk.
it, right?
The scariest thing is when you hear them talk, they believe their own rhetoric. And that's what scares me. I'm like, you believe that shit? Wow. And it scares me because I'm like, you are brainwashed like hell. And like, I guess right now they have a big problem. Right now they have a big problem with those dudes with everything going on. They're just squatting at houses in Florida.
Yep.
They're just setting up shops. They go buy a house for sale, and they just set up, and they're like, "Yo, I'm a free man against the world. Kick me out."
Yeah, it's really changing times, The country's going through a crazy time, now.
Now you've been
With
around.
everything going on now, it's crazy. There's a
Well,
disrespect for
what's
officers and the law.
what's the old lyric saying? All in the family, Mister. We could use a man like Herbert Hoover again. You're it, Ralph Friedman. You are the DNA that is still around, and they don't want around.
There are active officers today. I don't know how they do it, but they're really risking their jobs, their pension, their benefits, their freedom, and it's terrible. These politicians are making it impossible for officers to do their job.
And it sucks because you need those officers, and nobody wants to admit it, but when the shit hits the fan, that's the first fucker they're gonna call.
Well, look what happened January 6th
Bingo.
at the Capitol. All those politicians that were in the chamber
Yep.
then, the ones that were screaming
Defund the police, defund the police. Holy shit, call the cops. They're in
They
here.
wanted 100 times more police than that were there.
Defund
They
the
weren't
police tomorrow.
defund- They didn't want to defund them.
Yeah. I tell you what, man. You're right. This world has changed. Policing, like when I grew up,
Well,
I saw the cops. I was like, they're here to help us. They're our friends. Now, I don't think they teach that anymore.
I don't know what they teach, but
Yeah.
it's sad. But you see, like Ocasio-Cortez,
Yep.
uh, Anyway, she said, I saw an interview with her, and she was saying she feared for her life.
But she wouldn't get into details.
She feared for her life.
She should
But
fear
wants
for her
to defund
life.
the police.
Go
I'm
make
sure
me a
she was
latte.
fearing but who is she looking to rescue her?
The
Police or military.
Yeah, exactly.
Who else? Who's going to save you?
And she's
Frontline officers.
And she's the initiator of that bullshit. Defund the fucking
Exactly.
police.
Go make me a macchiato.
Yep.
So you guys, you have experience with corrections. So we had this guy that came in and.
So hold on a second, Captain. Hold on. You can't get away. You can't get away. Well, when did you enter your agency, sir?
I'm retired.
No. When did you enter?
1986.
In 1986. Okay, so let's see. What was going on in 1986? Who was president?
Ronald Reagan?
Reagan. Okay, we have Reaganomics going on. Okay, so you came in 1996. We like to. I like to set the stage.
Yes,
The whole time?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's a get up. So we've been in this system a long time, and we have that other jail within the jail. We call it segregation.
Oh yeah.
So
PC.
you know that guy? He was 44.
Who?
44.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Obama.
Yeah.
So he
No
makes a
Obama?
trip. Yeah, he makes a trip to El Reno, Oklahoma, and so the job I had, there was only 119 of us in the agency that did. Of 33,000 of us sworn. So I called my buddy. I said, "Hey, this shit's gonna get real." He goes, "It already is." So with the Secret Service and all that. Where are you going? You're going into a secure facility. You're not going to get guns in, so you don't have to worry about snipers and the CAT team and all that. But anyway, so Mr. Obama comes in and does an evaluation. He interviews 5 prisoners, 3 blacks, a Hispanic guy, and a white guy. So it was racially mixed, I think. It was fair.
It's called
So-
diversity. Okay, get it right. Oh my God.
Right. So at the end of the day, the biggest thing that he brought out of that to bring back to our agency in Wally World.
Rap music.
No. It was our abuse of solitary confinement. So I'm not liberal, I'm conservative. So the conservative side of me says, we don't have solitary confinement. Where is that? You guys had solitary confinement in
No.
your facilities?
Restrictive.
What did you have? You had restricted housing
Restrictive
or
housing, brother.
segregation? Horseshoe, the box, the bin. So it made it almost impossible now to put a prisoner, take him out of general population and put him in solitary. We never called it solitary. So now our fingers are tied, and now you have to call Wally World to get approval to put a crook in the box because Mr. Obama made it that hard for us to do our jobs.
That's going back to the point these guys say. People putting these policies in order that have never done the job.
Never walked in our shoes. Never. Never. So it's sad, but you know,
And they're considered the experts.
they are.
and
That's the sad part.
Yeah.
You know, and they also, another thing we didn't cover yet, but also lowering of standards
Oh my
Oh,
God.
to the
yeah.
criminal
Oh,
system.
Ramon,
Don't get me going
oh,
on this. Oh, my
I'm gonna go bake a cake. Ramon,
Oh, my
take the
God.
helm,
You
brother.
can thank Connecticut. They said president on this one. Cooper standards. Those things are nationwide. Cooper standards to get into a department.
It's Cooper.
Yeah.
It's Cooper.
Cooper, you know.
Thing is, I don't believe in lowering standards. Anything you should do is raise standards. You know, do you want the worst of the worst performing surgery on
Common
you? You
denominator.
know,
But then this goes back to what they're saying. Oh, the police need more training. Defund the police because they don't know what they're doing. Well,
Police
if you
are
want us to
trained
lower the
very
standards to
badly.
let people that are substandard come in, then you get.
Would you let the pilot of your plane?
No.
Right.
Oh, what's that other joke? What do you call the lowest scoring graduate in medical school?
Doctor.
Doctor.
Yep.
Here, hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly.
I got this.
Yeah, so Connecticut, we went through that in my agency.
Lawsuits and people got paid.
I think it's going on in every major city.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. It's going across the country.
Yep.
It's spreading like wildfire. Look what's going on in Portland,
Oh,
Seattle, you know, everywhere. It's
the
just
summer of love, Seattle.
going crazy.
I got a TV
Did you?
and new sneakers.
I was trying.
That-
No flat screen, no peace, bro.
Because of COVID, I couldn't get a day off though.
You know.
I got a TV.
Look at you.
Oh,
This cat.
you
We
gotta
went
put
to CVS.
He got it for
for
trans-
for the property room.
He got it for transportation. It's all clear.
You can use shopping code BLM.
Oh, no.
You know.
Oh, again.
Well, exactly. So, give me a nightmare. Give me like the nightmare. Give me a. So you were on. So you did a lot of air transport.
I did. I had a lot of fun traveling with Con Air and then moving prisoners from Connecticut to Texas.
For interstate compact.
No,
Well, the
we
feds,
had-
they bounce them around.
Yeah, we had diesel therapy. You guys didn't have that. So,
No.
you know, you throw them on a bus and, you know, they leave Danbury and the next thing you know, they're in Lewisburg for a week and they move to Terrell and then, you know, final destination could be the West Coast. So by the time it takes to go from, you know, East Coast to West Coast, it could be 30 days and it's all diesel therapy. It's not good. Because, you know, you don't get your bennies, you don't get your property, it's because it's shipped to wherever, so it's tough. It's tough.
Ah, diesel therapy.
I had fun.
I like
I had
that.
fun. So I was on a bus, the prison bus. I was a driver. There was 3 of us, and we traveled with the guys and girls.
Every
not
day I get on
separately,
there.
You know, we'd have either males or females. We traveled from.
So you had the desperate housewife girl there. You were there when she was there.
You know, it's funny.
Desperate. What was it?
I don't
That's
know.
what
her name.
happened.
Was it desperate?
I don't know. I
Okay,
don't-
that-
I don't
New
know.
York's fucking housewives or whatever the
I
fuck
don't
it
know.
was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Jersey Shore housewives.
I'm not
Some
that.
shit.
I'm not that cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously, I'm not either. I don't even know what
So-
the fuck it's called.
So you know when they have a town hall, they have all the crooks lined
Yeah.
up and blah blah blah. So I walked in and they go, "Good morning, Lieutenant." And I'm like, "Ladies, good morning." And I said, "Hey, where is that Jersey hooker housewife or whatever?" And then I look and the girl's going like this, and I'm like, "Oh, that's you?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Wow, you spend a lot of money on makeup." I got a laugh for the day, but you know what? I got away with it because I was, you know, 3 or 4 months from retirement, and I'm like, play the game. I don't care. You know,
So you say you started '86 there?
Yeah, I did. I did it all there.
Wasn't Pablo Escobar's pilot there? Was he there?
Later?
George Young.
George Young. That's what I thought.
at the
Yeah.
time,
yeah,
but before I got there.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, we had celebrities, you know, throughout the years. I mean, the
Little
biggest
Kim.
one, Sun Moon, Lil Kim.
Yeah.
She hated white people. She's racist. She don't like white people.
Well,
No.
So it's all right. We had the Bergen brothers. They were Roman Catholic priests that just created a lot of havoc with, in his time. And then, we call
You're
this,
such a young guy.
well, you've got me by 15 years. I'm only
Yeah,
50.
but I look 10 years younger.
That's true.
Buddy, yeah.
When they were burning draft cards, so we had the Bergen brothers, they were Roman Catholic priests.
Yeah.
Civil disobedience was not tolerated. We had the Watergate people, Liddy and Ehrlichman, Sung Moon. And what's funny is that property is sacred property, and the Moonies come up and they have kumbaya moments. I don't want to disrespect them, but they want to share cookies and what have you. So unfortunately, we don't allow that.
Yeah.
That's
They don't-
crazy
they don't
stuff.
regard it, so.
Ralph, in the 70s, who was uptown? Who was, all right, the Bronx was pretty much, the 70s, right, Puerto Rican, right?
Well, South Bronx.
The South Bronx. And then, when did the Dominicans start coming in?
Dominicans were more in, not in South Bronx. They
The-
went to Washington
the-
Heights.
the-
and
you-
Manhattan.
Washington Heights, all right?
Washington Heights.
Yeah. When did they start coming in?
Oh. Probably in the 80s.
80s. Yeah, my dad tells me one time he was at Van Cortlandt Park playing
And I was in
soccer.
the Bronx. Yeah,
He
I
was playing. He
in
was playing soccer with some Colombians, Peruvian
the- I was
dudes,
in Northeast.
and he
Northwest.
said a shootout started. Dude started shooting, so he said he hit the deck, scared as hell, and I'm like, Pop, you had anything on you? He goes, No, I didn't have anything on me. I had dirty looks and good intentions. And I said, with them tight ass shorts, I know you ain't have nothing on you. And it's the 70s. He probably had them Larry Bird shorts on,
He
looking
said
things,
dirty looks and good intentions.
But yeah, but I remember
In
like,
South Bronx, you heard gunshots all the time.
yes,
On Friday and Saturday nights, it was continuous. I mean, when I was a rookie back in 1970, I remember being on a midnight shift. It was pretty quiet during the week, and we hear a shit. We stopped at a light, and then all of a sudden I heard a shot, and it shot right through our trunk.
Holy shit.
come on.
Yeah, we didn't know where it came from. We had a bullet hole right through the trunk.
Thank God you had a real vehicle.
Yeah.
Today you would have caught it in your back. Yeah, I thought it was really funny when you said you and your buddy there were taking his car one day in his Volkswagen Bug, and you're like, please don't get
That
into
was
it.
Calendar.
You're
Yeah,
like,
you said pack the front trunk with sandbags. Yeah.
and you said, please don't get into a car chase with your Bug.
And they did. Chase the Mustang. There you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see you guys in your Bug. I started laughing. I was like, oh, come on.
Well, it definitely blended into the neighborhood.
Oh,
They never figured that to be a police car.
Pull up
But we
a
used our own cars, we used taxis, we used milk trucks, we used Con Ed trucks. We used anything we could get our hands on. We also took cars out of town and used, I had a nice Mustang, talking about Bullet, and the poster you have up there. But we had a nice Mustang that I could light it up at 50 miles an hour.
oh my God. You
it
catch
was
30 gear like
unbelievable.
that?
That was
Ah.
great, I used that for about a year.
That was you?
Yeah, that was me and Bullet.
So that was just,
Green Mustang.
so that was just impound. You went and did a little paperwork, or no?
Yeah, a little paperwork,
Very little, I bet.
very little.
And then took
But we
it
took
out.
all kinds of cars out of town.
Switch it up.
I mean, yeah, switched it up, and as long as you blend it in, we used pimp mobiles, we used Mustangs, we used
Yeah.
everything,
Ralph Friedman cruising with a car with the boomerang in the back and the curb feelers. I like that. Like your steel, Ralph.
We used everything, And we did a lot of roof work too, going from roof to roof.
I saw that in the series that you guys really worked those roofs, and
Roofs
just
were
it was like
always good,
it was
For
Intel
some reason,
Central.
Drug dealers didn't look up. They just went down the block, up the block, but not up in the air. And roofs, we made a lot of observations.
I read an article on some tactical stuff, and they said they said they did the study with people from different countries, and they said as Americans we have a tendency not to look up.
Yeah, it seemed that way in the 70s when we were
It's
working
even
the
worse
roof.
now. Everybody's faces in their phones looking down.
Everybody's playing Pokefog or on their phone,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, everybody's in oblivion. You got guys, crossing the
We did a
street.
lot of work on the roof. One of the nights I remember distinctly in my career wasn't too eventful in the way of an arrest for us, but we were on stakeout for a different rapist in the Williamsburg. This guy was hitting we had them down. You know, we didn't have computers enough in there. We used pinpoint maps. And that's how they would discover where,
Microfiche.
you know, sticking the
Actual
point pins
pins
in.
into the map. Yep.
Yeah, and we get the hours of operation and we get the location. We had this guy narrowed down to 3 hours and about 4 square blocks. There's a rapist breaking into the windows at night, and we couldn't get this guy. You know,
bitch.
and I remember distinctly when we were on the roof, we were just gonna lay on. We had to lay on this roof, and we were physically laying down, and it was in the snow. I remember freezing my nuts off, freezing. And the guy, you know, he actually hit and got away somewhere else, but we didn't see him. But we had different guys from our unit who spread out on different roofs, laying in the snow. A couple of hours, like we had to lay there for like 3 hours, you know, and not move and see if this guy would hit. It wound up. The funny thing is, they had task force on it. They had detectives from different units. They had us on it, and it wound up there were 2 guys in the precinct who were working a radio call, and they were just on like the verge of getting fired. They were really in a bad light, and these guys would never make an arrest. And this guy commits the rape, and he's running away and runs into the front of their police.
They caught the Hail Mary.
And they caught him on his roof. You know, so they like saved their jobs.
By
You know,
accident.
By accident, the guy ran into the
So how long?
radio call.
How long did it take to catch the dude?
Oh, this guy was out there for a couple of months.
A couple of months.
Yeah, he was a bad dude. We couldn't get him.
What's
Now you were
You say, hold on, you
Sometimes they're out
were, but
there
you were
and
chasing,
never-
you were
don't
chasing
know
him in the,
what
you were chasing him in the winter, right?
Yeah, it was the winter.
Was he a black or Latino dude?
Spanish man.
He took the winter off, bro. We don't come out in the cold. He took the winter off, my man.
Socks on, he had
The
socks
only
on.
time these guys.
Oh, that means if he had
Really
socks on,
busy
that means
dude.
he wasn't
Yeah,
Dominican.
Yeah,
He said if he
we
had
find
socks
somebody
on.
for a while, we go to the
chancletas
prison.
on. He had
That's when
chancletas
they
with socks.
the only time they stop.
So you were on during the Son of Sam times.
Yes.
Did you work that case?
Everybody worked.
Everybody
You know,
worked.
everybody had, you know, we had assignments. Everybody was made known of that, of course. Everybody had CIs that gave them information. I followed tons of leads.
Chasing shadows.
You know, but you know, I wasn't lucky enough to chase that guy. He wound up. They caught him in Brooklyn. Well, actually, they arrested him in Yonkers, but he got a summons in Brooklyn.
The ticket that, yeah.
Yeah.
What
on a fire hydrant.
Yep.
I remember,
And that's what led to the atomic.
you know, there's songs about it and everything. The blackout. Tell us about
That
the
was-
blackout, dude.
That was 1977. I think I made an arrest right in the beginning for looting, and that was it. I was off the street because I was processing the column. And you couldn't process too much.
Yeah.
That was 77.
2 days, no power. That must have been some crazy shit.
We had a whole, that was like 17 states were affected.
That must have been
That was a
fucking
big one.
Yeah.
You know, that was a
77. I was a few years old there. I don't remember. That was
Everyone. It was just crazy just hearing everything about the blackout. I met a you probably remember it because, you know, you got your thumb on the pulse. Met a guy in prison. I know that opens up a whole lot of things.
Met a guy in prison.
Met a guy in prison, you know.
hope it wasn't a shower.
Yeah, no,
See you,
you know.
Because no good story ever started. We were eating a salad.
The
Was
lather,
it a salad?
the lather was going,
roommate.
the lather was going down his back.
I tell you something funny about prisons. I used to go to Rikers Island a lot because we would interview prisoners. And when I first started going there, you know, I didn't believe in giving up my gun. You know, and you had to check your gun at the
Oh, you guys never want to give it up when you come into the
Never.
house.
But
Oh.
here's what happened. It was in the beginning of when cops started wearing backup guns and ankle holsters. So I always gave up my service.
Dirty Paul, Friedman,
I'd get
Dirty
on the bus
Paul.
and go in prison with my gun on my ankle. I can admit that now.
No.
Being
Yeah,
statute
yeah,
of
So I was
limitations.
talking-
Yeah, that's gone.
No, I was talking to this guy one time, man. He was telling me how he was at Happy Land the night it lit on fire.
Oh, yeah. It's like
Do you guys
85
know in
people.
1994 there was a place in the Bronx,
Yeah.
Salvadorian place, right?
Things
Honduran.
like- Well, the people that were killed were mostly.
Yeah, Salvadoran place called Happy Land, and it was kind of like a speakeasy kind of joint. And
He got thrown out.
so yes, he got thrown out. His ex-girlfriend worked there, so my man caught feelings. My man went and bought like 80 cents of gas, changed some doors, and lit the place on fire.
That was a full tank back
And
then.
yeah,
Since again.
yeah, and
That
so
was some terrible.
so
horrific
it
thing.
killed. You look it up. It's called Happy Land nightclub, New York, And so I'm talking to this dude in jail one time because, he said something. He's from the Bronx. And he goes, dude, I was there that night. And I go, how'd you beat the fire? He's like, oh, man, I was so coked out that night. He goes, me and my buddy were like, oh, let's go across the street and get something to eat. He goes, so we walked out of the club. We went over, got something to eat. He goes, next thing you know, all the fire trucks are showing up. And then they're pulling bodies out.
And I think there was, if I remember correctly, it might have been like 83 people.
You know what?
83 or 85.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look it up on Wikipedia, Happy Land nightclub, Bronx, New York, and it was just insanity. And I remember watching the news. My mother had it on the Spanish channel, and just seeing the bodies lined up on the sidewalk, and you're like, dude, that's insanity. And the guy chained the door. He was a Cuban dude, and yeah, he lit the place on fire, man.
Today, he would have got out with a desk appearance ticket.
87 people.
87.
87. I knew it was in the 80s.
Ralph Friedman, that close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. So that Happy Land story. But yeah, I just remember seeing that in the news, and I'm like, wow, that's just sheer savagery.
Like I said, there was utter disregard for human life. In the South Bronx, it was
I'm not saying we're there again, but we're making a comeback the way this country's going.
Where do you see us going? That's a good. Where do you see us going, Ralph? You've seen, you've lived it, you worked it. Like I said, you're the real deal. You got the T-shirt to fucking prove it. Where do you see us going? Where do you see us
I
going?
think, to be honest, my opinion is I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, and it will get better because there's always peaks and valleys in the city and the country. There's peaks and valleys, and it's going to get so bad that it'll have to swing back. The pendulum will have to swing back the other way. New York City got very bad once before, and that's when Giuliani had to come in. And then they turned it around.
How am I doing?
No,
Mr.
that
Koch,
wasn't that Koch.
Mr.
No,
Koch, how am I
Koch.
doing?
Koch was a very good mayor. The police liked Koch.
It's
He
so
was a good
funny
mayor.
because people don't remember. I remember when 42nd Street was peep shows, hookers up
Oh,
and
I
down the
remember that.
street.
Oh, I'm sure
And
you
it
That
was-
the
You were there.
the armpit of America.
I remember, what, you don't?
You look very familiar. I think I've seen you at a people.
At a peep house.
What are you talking about, Cat? You still got quarters jingling in your pocket from that era.
Token.
You still got tokens. I just remember, when you would go there and all the working girls were
Oh,
just,
my God.
the working
Teens
girls
were
were just
teens.
packed. And all the
I
peep
remember
shows,
when Disney took it over. They put the money into it.
and I remember me and my boy Div, shout out, we used to take the train in.
Every store was a peep show, a bookshop, or an
We-
X-rated movie.
we
I
used
remember
to,
going down with my mother's
It was all
boyfriend.
pimps and
My mother's
prostitutes
boyfriend
on
was
the street.
from New York, so that was anytime we went to New York it was with him. He knew all the spots, and we'd go down there. And what are all those exits? Don't worry about that. What are all the exits? Don't worry about
they
those.
don't know how to spell. Mind your business.
Yeah.
Mind your business. Yeah, and it was so great.
It's what you see in New York. There's changes, and I just see it getting worse before it gets better. But it will get better because at some point, these politicians that are passing these laws, their family and loved ones.
It just, to me, it
Can't get
hurts.
much worse than
raped
de
and robbed,
Blasio.
and it'll-
It-
no, it-
Can't get much worse
To
than
me,
de Blasio.
to me, it hurts me,
Few
man.
others that might run, it'll work.
Oh,
Believe it or not.
shit.
I think
Believe it or
what
not.
hurts me is that you're hurting the PD, you're tying their hands,
Friedman from here.
and guess what? And you're not just hurting. You're not just you're hurting the cops, but you also got these. You got the good people in these neighborhoods sequestered. Because not everybody in those neighborhoods is a dirtbag. You know that.
Of course not.
And that's what kills me, man. When I'm like, you got somebody that busted their ass and they got enough money to buy a house and, he can't go nowhere. They can't go nowhere. And they're just, they're held hostage there. And, when a cop can't do shit for them,
It's a terrible
it's got to
situation.
be very disenfranchising for them to say, wow, look at my PD. I work, I pay taxes, but my local beat cop can't do shit for me because he's told not to do shit.
Yeah, they're ordered to stand
It's gotta
down.
be a kick in the
You see-
shit.
You see these riots that went on. They put people out of business that were in business their whole life, was invested in it, they're there 30, 40 years, and they
Well-
lost their businesses through these riots.
About 2 months ago, I went to go see a client in Midtown, and I was on the R train at 6 o'clock. On the R train at 6 in the evening with 4 people on the R train. It was so scary. Well, number one, I left here from New Haven. I was on the platform with 1 or 2 dudes. Usually that train is packed with everybody going in for theater. And this was before the election. I walked down Fifth Ave, everything is boarded up. Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all the high-end stores. But the media don't show that. And I'm like, that's bullshit that you guys won't show that, how everything is boarded up. And I'm like, you guys want to, act like it's status quo. And like I said, and like I said, I was
on agenda.
at 6 o'clock. A subway should be packed. I took like I said, I went up to Prince Street, and there was 4 or 5 people on there. It was scary. It was like I was in a.
It's like a ghost town now.
I went into Grand Central. I thought they were shooting a movie, and I go, "There's just a closed set." Did I just walk on a closed set? I'm like, I think I might have messed up here, and it's so spooky to see traffic moving in Midtown during rush hour. You're like, traffic is
There
moving.
was a point there was no traffic at all. There was no cars moving, no people. There were times I went down once to do a podcast on 35th Street. There was nothing moving, nothing. And even the precinct, the blocks the precincts were on, were all barricaded. We had to show ID and get through the barricades. The streets were park the car anywhere you wanted. It was like surreal. Well, it was like the Twilight Zone.
Exactly. Like I said,
I Am Legend.
it was.
Exactly.
It was. Ralph, where were you in 1979? What unit were you attached to in '79?
I was in SWAT to the Bronx Detectives working out of the 5-2 squad.
So that means you probably remember the 1979 Gary White special, 80 Blocks from Tiffany's?
No,
Have you ever seen it?
No.
Oh, man, it's great. It's got a great salsa soundtrack, not that you care. But it's called 80 Blocks from Tiffany's. And it does a lot of work with the Savage Skulls and the Savage Nomads.
Those were the gangs.
And just to watch this, I hate to say, the savagery of these guys. These cats are mental health like a mother, Ramon. You got to see it. Put it on YouTube. It's called 80 Blocks from Tiffany's. And I think
I'm gonna check that out.
the title says everything. How it shows that, here's Tiffany's and here's 80 blocks. You're in a war zone. And it kind of reminds me of in the movie with Clint Eastwood when he came to New York. And
Right,
he's,
as
and,
a sheriff or something?
yeah, and he's in the cab, and he asked the cabbie, he goes,
Must
hey,
be popular. All I did was punch in 80 and it popped right up.
Yeah?
It popped right up.
algorithm, because you're in here. So there's a movie with Clint Eastwood when he comes from Texas, and he's in a cab, and he tells the cabbie where he wants to go. So the cabbie's, jerking him. So Clint Eastwood goes, hey, buddy, he goes, Macy's, popular store? He goes, well, sir, there's only one Macy's in town, blah. And he goes, that's funny because we've driven past it 5 times. So the guy finally realized that Clint caught on to him. He was jerking him. But he's like, yeah. He goes, well, why haven't I forgot what movie it is, but it's the one when he comes from Texas.
I saw him, I forgot the name.
Yeah, you know which one I'm talking about. And but
Big
yeah,
Ben, Parliament.
Remember
that one?
But yeah, you got to check it out. Check it out. Get back to me. Call me up. Yeah, it's called 80 Blocks from
I
Tiffany's.
just went on YouTube, put in the number 80 and it popped right up.
Yeah, it's crazy, and all it interviews all these
It's
savage
an hour
skulls.
and 6 minutes long. So
They
We dealt with the young lords also.
no, we dealt with
Lords,
we dealt with the modern ones here, and you know what I
We had
mean.
Savage Skulls, Nomads, Young Lords.
Chingalings, oh my God, who gave
They were
those?
further uptown.
Who
That
gave
was
those
also-
guys up? I remember the first time I seen their documentary, and I'm like, they got a documentary, this guy, the Chingalings, and I was just like, Ralph, what made you get your first tattoo? Because we're gonna get into Big Lou's tattoo shop.
Big Joe's.
Big Joe's. What made you go get the first? What made you go get blessed with your first piece of ink, brother? Please tell me.
Actually, it was after my father died, because he would have killed me if I would have gotten one. You know,
It was the
my
era.
father died, I always wanted one, and he would have kicked my ass, So I got a tattoo then, and then they just became, a habit for me.
Oh,
I got one on my bicep. So after a while, I said, you know what? I got to balance it out. So I get one on this side, on this bicep.
you're like, I look
Then
weird.
you
I
see
need another
something
one.
else. Then you say, oh, I see another one I like, so I get it on the forearm. Then you got to balance it out again. This goes on and on. The next thing you know, you're covered.
I'm in trouble. My son is about to be 30 years old. He picked up tattooing. He just did this piece on me.
You're in trouble.
I get tattooed for free, and I'm retired. Guess what?
You
I'll be getting a lot of
So-
ink coming up.
got a lot of prime real estate there.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's fresh. I got nothing going on.
That's what I
So
mean.
big shout out to Agini Ink.
So I gotta say, because I love the way it's written, by Chuck Zito.
Chuck Zito was a Chingaling, if I remember correctly, when he first started biking.
So hold on,
Then he left there and came out.
I gotta read what you wrote, because it's just stuff that you know today people. Oh my God! It says I've known Ralph for almost 40 years. It says the first day he walked into Big Joe's tattoo shop, he looked more like a biker than a cop. We were on the opposite sides of the fence, but we always respected each other. He's the toughest Jew I know, who had more tattoos than I do. So like,
Yeah, I know Chuck a long time.
but it's funny because he wrote, "You're the toughest Jew." Like right now, you know, people are getting triggered. People are gonna send me hate mail because I said that, because I repeated the word.
Yeah.
You never knew.
You know,
See, you learn something every
you
day.
know. So you're like, so like right now, so it was funny when I read the back of it and I said, you know, how he said you were the toughest Jew, and you know, we grew up, we used the word, you know, I got a paisan, a Guinea in the house. He's my brother, but I can't call him that anymore. I got to call him Italian American now. You know, if not, he's gonna get me served with papers.
I tell you, a
You know,
funny story.
he used to be Puerto Rican. Now he identifies with longitude and latitude coordinates. You know what I mean? Because it's bullshit.
I tell you a funny story about Chuck and me. We were at Big Joe's tattoo parlor when he was up on 3rd Street in Mount Vernon.
Money earned in Mount Vernon.
And we used to hang out there. And I was on the job then. It was the early 70s. And me and Chuck were fighting in the store. You know, we were fighting, you know, play fight, you know.
Yeah.
We were fighting each other, you know, and we wound up going through the window.
Oh shit.
Right through the fucking window.
It's all fun and games, so you got to call the glass guy, the glazer.
Me and Chuck had, Joe was tattooing somebody there. He doesn't even bat an eye, he just looks up and goes, gotta get me the window. And goes back to tattooing.
So you guys had to split the window.
Me and him put in the window. But we didn't use a glacier, I think we put it on one of these big plexiglass windows.
Come on, come on,
Safe, but we figured we might go through it again.
come on,
Taking a
man.
proactive approach.
That's
Me and
hysterical.
Chuck went right through the window.
That's cool. Today, you know, I need a window. Oh, see that?
There goes the hate mail.
See, there you go. There you go.
But I got a Jewish name.
See?
It's okay.
Cats,
You know,
you let him get away
I'm,
with it.
I'm fifth on the book, by the way.
No, all of a sudden, you know, like I
He's fifth
said,
on the book.
Yeah,
Cats.
his bloke is the 5th one down.
you know, but
I'm
you
not
know.
five on the book. I'll take
I
it.
think he also got credit for ortho photo.
I took photos in there. He wanted one in the shower. I said,
Is he
"No,
on there?"
I'm pushing it."
Oh, maybe he's on the hard cover.
Yeah, that one's only got 4. They cut you off.
They cut me off.
Yeah, they cut you out.
Let me see
I'm
that.
Oh, you better call the publisher.
No, I'm not on this one. They cut me out.
He's on the hard cover.
Copyrighted
Hey,
lyrics, so they
but
can't be
But
stolen.
did you notice how I went along with the flow? Like, oh, number 5. I'm like, oh yeah, I put the book down. You saw that? I'll tell you, I'm good at that.
Academy Award right there.
Oh,
Academy Award
fucking
right there.
We
great.
cut him out after once we found out he was an anti-Semitic.
Oh, see?
Semite.
You know, tomorrow I'm gonna get, you know, blasted, and you know, who knows? You know, like I said,
People call me out in front of Jimmy.
you know, no, he said that, not me. I told him, you know. But yeah, it's like I said,
So if you get the book, hold on. If you get the book, I'm number 5 on the real.
On the hard cover.
I'm trying to get the hard copy. It's not coming. It's not out yet. I was like, I need it now.
Oh,
They said it's coming.
I'm in the back.
Well, like,
No, I thought there might be gloves in the front.
Oh, it was on the flip side.
On the
Yeah.
flip side of the,
Yeah. You don't have my picture.
No.
But I took the picture. He calls me up. You know, being an old guy, he knows nothing about it. So he goes, "Hey, I got to get this picture sent to the publisher like tomorrow." I said, "All right." So I go over with cell phone.
Yep.
So he goes, "No, it's got to be in a JPEG or something." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, it's not a big deal." I said, "I'll take the picture for you." He goes, "But you're using your phone." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Don't worry about it." "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, no problem." So I take the picture, I get the email, I send it over, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I got the thumbs up the next day. He says, yeah, the publisher called. Great, thanks a lot. I owe you. Still have to pay.
So, Cass, what are you saying? You saying Ralph he was looking for the blanket and the poof?
Yeah.
I gotta give Ralph props when we're talking the other day, and I said something about the logistics for here, and he goes, I don't use GPS. I'm like, I was like, my man said I don't use GPS.
Hey, we tracked down guys
I
all the
love-
time. We didn't have GPS on them either.
Exactly.
I tell people now, like, oh my God, you never use an emoji. I go, dude, if I use an emoji,
I never used
I said, my man, I don't roll like that. I go, no. They're like, oh, you don't use? Hell no.
I still have a flip phone.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wish I still had
Flip
a
phone,
fucking
it's in
flip
this
phone.
car now. I got no internet on it. I got
I-
internet at home.
Yeah.
And I don't use a computer. I only have an iPad.
Yep.
You know, I'll get to the 20th century.
Do you remember when phones first came out? Everybody wanted the smallest phone
He
ever.
still has his beeper.
Everybody wanted the smallest phone ever until they realized they could watch porn. Now everybody wanted the biggest phone ever.
Just saw a good movie on that. The Middlemen.
The middleman?
Middlemen. Not the two of the dumbest guys in America come up with the idea of putting porn pictures.
Yes, I saw that.
Did you see
I
it?
saw it. I saw it the other, yes.
Incredible movie.
Oh my
Middleman. I
God.
gotta go
The
look
two
for it.
stupidest guys in
Yes.
the world.
How they start charging for memberships and they
then
just blow
discovered- They
up.
brought in a third partner, and he discovered, he says, guys were getting beat up by their wives and divorced and everything, because the bills would come in on the credit card, said, big titted mamas
Yeah.
or something. But if you put that LMC accountant,
Yep.
you know, everybody was safe.
Jimmy
It
used to
was
be my
amazing.
roommate. I used to get all those packages all the time. It was that brown box. It just said Adam and Eve.
But it was a good movie, Middleman.
Middleman. I
Yeah,
gotta look for
discovered,
that.
had two idiots discovered putting porn and different labeling on the
He
internet.
gave me
That's
his iPad to use, and I just kept coming up with gerbil.com. I don't know what that is. And duct tape. I don't know.
You know, that's fundamentals. That's fabulous. Like I said, when he goes, I don't use GPS, I'm like, whoa, I like
No,
that.
no GPS.
I like that. You know what I mean? Hey, man, you keeping it real, baby. You know, that's not nothing
What I
wrong with
say
that.
is too many smartphones and too many dumb people.
You know what, man?
And that's the problem.
We're so connected now. We're disconnected. Like, ask for Ramon. How many text messages do I allow?
One.
One or two?
That's it.
Dude, a text message.
Other than that, we're having a conversation.
A
Call me.
text message to me is a post-it. I'm not gonna go back and forth on this damn thing and write a fucking a thesis or a soliloquy, bitch. No, I'll give you one or two. After that, bitch, you gotta call me. Oh my God, you want to bounce back and forth? No, I don't enjoy this thing.
Listen, I got this thing here so I can check my Facebook and play Candy Crush. I hate when the fucking thing goes off.
I got it for business, and that's it. And when people
When I
like,
was on the job, I liked it for the overtime. That was it. Call me.
yeah, you want to go back and
Put
forth.
headphones in.
You want to go
Oh,
back
yeah.
and forth all day. I'm like, you got the wrong dude. But people are like, oh my God, you know, yeah, you hit me the second time. I'm like, yo, just call me. And then you hit somebody. I'm like, why didn't you pick up, bitch? You just had the phone in your hand 0.1 seconds ago.
Yeah, you text me. I called you back. You didn't answer it.
Well, would you drop the phone and run away? Come on, man.
I gotta say, listen, I gotta tell you one funny story about Ralph. So,
Just one?
one.
Oh.
How long have you been retired?
Going on 38 years.
Right. So we're driving somewhere, we're going to do something. I think we're going to Colt. So, that's another story. You gotta-
Going to Colt?
Gotta tell them that story.
I'll tell him the story. So anyway, he answers his phone, you know, and it's got the funniest ringtone. It's like, what is that?
Hold on a sec. I got the ringtone right here for Ralph. Hold on a second. Where is it?
Oh, but he can hear it. He don't got that. He don't got the
We know
headphone.
it. We know it.
Oh, I put it on.
Hold on, okay. Hit it again. I don't hear it. Turn my
Oh, he got his off. The white one. Yeah. Is he plugged in?
All right, anyway, I'll laugh. That's funny. so anyway.
I had to put some wah wah music, some old Starsky and Hutch stuff, you know.
That was
So he answers his phone, and I'm figuring, you know, we're fairly, you know, we're good friends. Detective Friedman. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. Yeah, let him go. Okay, thank you. What's your name? Okay, thank you, officer. And I'm like thinking to myself, he gave out one of those courtesy cards, and the guy used it, and I'm like, and he's still answering the phone, Detective Friedman, and he's been retired 35 years.
Oh, this was recently.
Yeah.
Well, he still doesn't know how to drive, so
There you go.
I gotta take care
All
of
right,
it.
so I got to tell you the story about our interaction with Cole. So I take Ralph to do his first LEOSA recertification.
HR 218.
Yep, he's on 218.
So,
You need to call me.
I got him.
Oh,
so he goes to the range, and
Good for
now,
something.
I've been an instructor since 1990, and he takes the revolver out, and I said, "Listen, Ralph, take your time. Listen, you got do 5, and then reload 5, reload 5. That's what the drill is." He goes, "Okay, put the target down." And all of a sudden, I see something I haven't seen in
Teacup, teacup, teacup. Ah, teacup.
cup and saucer.
Cup of sauce.
And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be all night. This is going to be all night. All right, take your time, front side, concentrate on the front side, press the trigger, pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at the target, and I said, "Listen, buddy, just take your time. Take your time." There's nothing on the paper. I'm like, oh my God.
Nothing there.
Nothing. All
Then
night.
I hesitate a second. I fire again, and
And all
there's
of a
two
sudden-
two holes in the target.
And then all of a sudden, the whole front of his muzzle was blown back.
Holy
He had squib
shit.
round. He had squib round.
I
Oh my
never heard of that term.
Yeah.
The bullet got caught up in the barrel. The
Yeah.
next bullet fired it out.
Normal less
And
than
thing blew up.
normal less than pressure, and the bullet has not left the riflings in the round.
So
Squib
the
round.
whole front of the muzzle's bent back. The front
Banana
side-
peeled back.
Oh yeah. So I'm like,
Some
"Listen,
Yosemite
what
Sam
can you
shit."
do? And he starts crying. He goes,
Yeah.
this is well, almost. He goes, this is the gun that I use in a job, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, I got hopes and Cole. So
No, tell him what happened. What happened? I continued shit. I pull out a second gun.
second gun, he gets the second gun.
Pull his gun out of my ankle and so
Right.
and finish the
So he
course.
shoots a course of fire. We're done. So I call my hook at Cole, and I tell him who he is and what it's all about. Oh, they rolled it.
We went up there, and this was only about 6 years ago.
They pulled the barrel out, put it in.
They took care of it. Not right away. It took a little while, but when we went up there, they treated us like royalty.
Him,
And they gave me what like the birth certificate of the gun.
like a cabbage
In
patch.
1969, they sent it to the bill of sale with my
Yeah.
serial number on it. They sold it to the NYPD.
Ain't that some shit?
That's
huh?
dope.
That's
Yeah.
like when you retire, you
And
try to
they
get
gave me
your
a
first.
big poster of
When you retire, you try to
The
get your first
cowboy
roster.
with the
You
Colts.
got your birth certificate for your
Yeah.
gun.
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
That's,
it's
They took care of him. I mean, they were very
Yeah.
proud that, the gun provided great service for, a U.S. lawman, and they were just honored to have him in the house, and they did roll the red carpet out. And-
I don't know about you guys. We went up there. I thought it was a little ironic. You go into a gun manufacturing company and you got to go to a metal detector. You can't bring your gun. What the fuck?
Well, that was the
Yeah.
thing. We're in there, and the guy goes, you don't have a gun, right? And Ralph goes, "Yeah, I got one." And he looks at me and he says, "Yeah, I got one." You're not supposed to be past that area with a gun. How'd you get through? We just walked in.
Then they took us into the engraving section,
Oh,
which was
yeah.
amazing. They
oh yeah,
engraved
those artists
every
over there.
president,
Yep.
And they were making. They
Except
had
for Obama.
100 guns there.
Obama didn't get a gun.
100 guns were being engraved. They showed us these guns. And then the guy said, look at the barrel. The barrel was stuffed. They were fake guns. And a guy from Japan was paying $10,000 for each gun. 100 guns.
They
To
look
give
like-
out as souvenirs to
They
friends.
look like long colts. The
Yeah.
original
Yeah.
45 long colt with a single action.
Wow.
Yeah.
They treated us great.
Here in town, we got a place called Connecticut Shotgun. They make their cheapest shotgun. I think is 35 grand. They make these $1 million shotguns and custom. Check them out online.
Is
Connecticut
that the
Shotgun.
place that took over where?
They used to be on the east side, and now they're over there by Stop and Shop in the back by Myrtle. You kind of go in on Myrtle.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And well, this so what you call this place? A guy I used to work for. Is really good friends with the owner, and we went to the Christmas party one time. Uh-oh, we got changing of the guard here. I think everybody's gonna do it in a minute.
come on? I gotta use the bathroom.
So, Friedman, check this out. So we go to this Christmas party, right? I'm in the showroom of this gun company, and I look at this in the case. I see a beautiful leather case. I'm like, wow, look at that old box. That's workmanship, and it had beautiful buckles, and you could just tell it was old, and a lot of workmanship. So no big deal. I go over there and I look at this thing, and look outside of it. It's got a swastika. I'm like, whoa, what's that? You know. So I keep it moving. So the guy comes over and click click undoes these beautiful buckles on it, pops it open. There's red velvet in there, another swastika in there. And I'm like, okay, I'm not cool with this dude. And all of a sudden, I see another big emblem with HG. And he takes the gun out, puts it together. It's a shotgun, and it had 2 lengths of barrels. So I'm like, so he hands it to me. And I'm like, I really don't want to check this out, dude. He goes, oh, check it out. It's a beautiful piece, well made. And I go, whose gun is it? Herman Goring's. And I'm just like, whoa. And I'm like, I look at it. I'm like, I can't afford this. Give it back to him. Wipe my DNA off, of course. And I'm like, and a couple of weeks later, I had to go back there and fix something. And they said they sold it for like 1.3 million. And I was just like, wow. And just to, to see something like that, it was crazy for me. And I was just like, it was, ugh. But yeah, just
Was
the
it
work.
double-barreled?
Yeah, double barrel. They had 2 lengths.
Breech-load?
Yes. And
Yeah, I got one of them.
like they had like some dog in a marsh holding point, and like the engraving on it was just beautiful. But yeah, obviously this thing was older than dirt. But yeah, it was Herman Goring's gun, that Connecticut shotgun manufacturer in this town. But yeah, they make some crazy stuff. Ralph, tell me who you roll. Tell me tell me your other side of your entourage here that you're rolling with
This is my
today.
good friend Bruce Palaccio, very good friend of mine, and he's a licensed pistol holder. And
First time, getting
Bruce, you
involved.
gotta kind of come up close to it because if not, I can't pick you up. There you go.
Is that good? Yeah, Ralph, meeting Ralph for the first time a few years back, I was just amazed that, like the most decorated detective in the history of NYPD, okay? And, I just couldn't believe it, and I was pretty thrilled about that. After getting to know him, the guy is, he's got a big heart, he's a good guy, and he's my best friend, And,
Well-
I've got my pistol permit about 10 years ago, but I didn't buy the gun. I didn't buy a gun until I met Ralph. And, I never thought I'd be carrying a gun around, but these days, let me tell you, I never want to use it unless I go to a range. I love going to the range. But the way things are going in this world today, it's just crazy, It's really nuts.
I've been carrying a gun since '93, and people go, "Oh my God, you carry a gun, you want to hurt someone." Anybody who's responsible looks at a gun like a fire extinguisher. I got a fire extinguisher at the house. I'm not going, damn, I can't wait till the boiler blows up so I can use this bitch. I can't wait to use this fire extinguisher.
Right.
The day I die, if I could say, man, I never had to use this thing, and the only thing I ever shot at was paper at the range, cooling the gang.
That's right.
It's like you buy car insurance or home insurance. You
Yeah.
don't want to use those things.
You can't. You can't wait till there's a fire at the house and be like, "Hun, I'll be back. Where you going? I'm going to Lowe's." Well, bitch, that train left the station. If you're a day late, a fireman told me the best analogy. He goes, "I'd rather look at it than look for it." And I was like, "All right, I'll rock with you on that." I'd rather look at it than look for it. But
Well, I like to say, I'd rather have a gun and not need it. than
And
have
need
a
it, not
gun
have
and
it.
Not have it.
exactly, because you're not
Everybody
gonna.
knows me knows that's my line. I say that
He
all
always
the
says
time.
that I like carrying it. I'm not going to deny it. I enjoy exercising my Second Amendment. We rock guns. We're not shy about it. We love it here.
I'm usually a copycat. I come in here, Jimmy shows me a toy. How much that cost? Order it.
Order it. Like I said, just let's see. This year, because of the civil unrest we had, people keep asking me, Jimmy, why there's no ammo? Because this past year, because the civil unrest, they say 7 million new shooters have joined the market. This past summer, pistol permit. Anybody who was teaching pistol permits was busy. Could have worked every day, myself included. It's just, people were scared. People realizing that, I want to be armed. All of a sudden, I don't want to be just a target, or I don't need it, I don't want it. People's like, well, you know what? I feel better with it.
Right, right.
I work at a school. I had a couple of female teachers ask me if I could put together a female class so they could feel comfortable together. So I told Jimmy we're gonna get one going. I have about 8, 9 girls coming through. Everybody wants to jump on board now.
Yeah, it's, people feel more comfortable being armed today. That's what society is coming to, and it's actually a sad state of affairs.
Especially with this defund the police shit, you gotta defend yourself.
Exactly.
What's that all about, Unbelievable.
You say defund the police, but then somebody breaks into your house. They're gonna take their time coming. They might show up and might not be as aggressive as they were because they're in a position where they got to defend themselves. They're liable for everything now.
And if they defund it and there's less police, they might be on other jobs. They can't get there as fast.
Bingo, call 211. Call that social worker.
Yeah,
They might come
so-
help you.
It's kind of hard to believe. My cousin is a social worker. She's a big time social worker in Albany, New York. And I can't see her coming to the scene of a crime,
Picture that, right?
Unbelievable.
I don't know where they could come up with something like this.
It's
It's-
like going
the
back to what
cops
we
have
said
a hard
earlier.
enough time. They have a dangerous job, and they're trained and they're armed.
Yeah,
And now you're going to send untrained, unarmed social. It's a joke.
they don't know what they want, so they want you to lower the standards so more people can get in. But then when something bad happens, they want more training. Well, I lowered the standards to
Yeah.
get them in. I can't give them more training, and I catch it on.
Oh, yeah. They
So
want to defund the police, but yet they have 20,000 troops going to be at the inauguration.
all right,
Yeah, unbelievable.
defund the police.
20,000.
I tell you what, if I was a cop, I'd show up with just my billy club.
Yeah,
Defund the police. Guess what? I'm gonna leave my guns home.
unbelievable.
What do you think about that bullshit though at the Capitol? Huh? That's gonna be
Listen,
some
I
heads
believe in the
turning.
protesting. You can protest, but once you start to commit a crime, you're a riot.
That's why I
And
say.
they never should have went into that building. They should have had more coverage there. I don't know why there wasn't more coverage.
I think they were
Because even if
underestimated.
you read on social media, Facebook, everyone knew that people were going to be.
I knew they were going.
There were going to be a large crowd.
Yep.
And when you're dealing with people of that magnitude of numbers, there has to be some that are going to cause a problem. And that's what you got to be prepared for.
And exactly, in that magnitude of numbers, there's always going to be 1 or 2 assholes, some agitators. You got to be prepared.
The percentage was small, but that's what lawful. But the ones that went inside were 100% wrong, should have been prevented, and definitely should have been apprehended and arrested, which they are being now.
Yeah.
But, after damage was done,
Well, I saw
it should have been held the line.
Any building that starts with the word U.S., shouldn't be fucking with it.
I think
Any building that's not your own, that you don't own or live in, then you shouldn't be messing with.
you shouldn't be messing.
I respect the law, and they should respect the law.
I don't agree with it. I think I kind of understand why they went in. I don't fucking agree with it, but I kind of understand. I think
Well, the people were fed up.
yeah, that's
But you
it.
still can't break the law.
You can't break the
You
law.
know, they endangered, other people felt so threatened. They were horrified. The protectors there had guns.
Yeah.
But, it was a terrible thing that girl got killed. She was a veteran and a patriot, but she was breaking the law. It
There's a
just
lot of shenanigans
shouldn't
that
happen.
went on that day. To
But
let all those people in.
They say they fired 1 officer. No, they suspended 2. They arrested 1, and 10 are under investigation. So we'll see what the
And I think a
outcome
lot
is.
quit already too.
Oh yeah,
Some resigned.
Yeah.
I think the chief
the
resigned.
chief did. The chief resigned.
Chief
Yeah.
resigned right away.
They're just saying that guys like us were the silent majority, because we're not going to act like that. And they're just saying that people are getting disenfranchised.
But I also want to add, though, that some of those people that entered that building were also Antifa.
Totally.
BLM.
100%.
Because some of the Antifa people, they had the tattoos that they saw, and you can compare them.
Yep.
And also some of the faces were recognizable from other riots
Exactly.
that I've seen. I've seen it compared, picture next to picture from other riots on Facebook and stuff, and you can compare it. And, they've got their hands on the pulse of it.
And you know what's crazy? These fact checkers.
They know that.
These fact checkers on all this crazy ass corrupt communist social media. They can censor whatever they want. They can't even
They're
debunk
censoring
that.
a lot of police sites and
Yeah.
stuff now, too.
But I shared a picture the other day where it said that this individual that was in the picture was also at a Antifa BLM rally protest before. and it couldn't say that it was debunked or whatever. It just said misleading. So that means there was truth
Right,
to it.
exactly.
That means there was truth to it.
Well, it's very sad when, they're making this, okay, so it's horrible what happened at the Capitol building, but it's really bad what happened with over 100 days of fires and protests and people losing their businesses, murders, looting, nothing, they didn't make such a big stink out of that, and that was horrible.
You got that much effort and commitment at a job, boy, you'll excel. You'll get promoted quick. But you out there every day acting the fool.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
You got to respect the law. The laws have to be respected for everybody's safety.
Exactly.
Those people who terrified me.
You don't have to agree with it, but it's the law. You gotta follow it.
Exactly.
Right, you don't break the law, simple, plain and simple.
Ralph, quick question. How did the Guardian Angels change everything when everything was going on?
Well,
did
they
they?
really didn't
Or did
change
they?
Or
anything.
did they?
They didn't really change things, and
Were they good, bad?
no, we didn't. No, I was just recently, well, not recently, in the past, about a year ago, I was on the Curtis Leroy show.
I saw you with Curtis, and
And I told
I
you,
want
before
to
I-
sit down with Curtis, but I saw you on a show. That's why I'm putting it out there.
Before I went on the show, I told the producer who called me, who invited me on the show, I said, I really don't agree with Curtis and his ways and the Guardian Angels and stuff. And he just said to me, "Oh, that's good. Curtis likes,
Controversial.
Controversy. Yeah.
So he said, that's good. You'll be great on the show." And I went down there, and it's on YouTube, I think. And I think it's on YouTube. It's definitely on my website, BronxStreetWarrior.com. And it shows, I told Curtis where it was at, and he thinks I beat him up a long time ago, but I had a running game. He says on the show that I slapped him around. But the running I had with Curtis
Deny everything and
was
admit
back in 1975.
Put counter accusations.
He made a complaint that people broke into his apartment and started writing bullshit on the walls and stuff like that. So I went down there with I actually went with my squad boys, right? And what happened was, we were looking over the crime scenes, and the glass that was broken some of the glass was on the fire escape. You break a window, the glass
comes in,
can
not
go
out.
in the apartment.
Yeah.
So Curtis broke it himself and did it, so we told him, listen, we're gonna lock you up for this crime, falsely reporting a crime. Unless, you withdraw this complaint or something, because, we got glass on the outside. So he said, let's forget about this thing. That was my run-in with him. But we didn't really, this was 1975, and we didn't care for the Guardian Angels for a multitude of reasons. First of all, they're untrained, and they're going on there on the subway system. It was a transit really didn't like them. My brother was a transit cop at the time. But the transit police didn't like them, and the New York City police didn't like them, because they're not trained,
Yep.
and they're trying to take police action. They're trying to do a job that we're getting paid for and trained for. And they didn't know the laws. So, they were just sort of taking things into their own hands.
Instead of helping
Trying to
them,
do the
really
right
hindering.
thing, but not trained in it, and we're, not doing it right.
Yeah.
So, we didn't agree with what they were doing. They were more of a publicity stunt to us.
Yeah.
And, he's been promoting himself ever since, He runs on a good platform now.
But see,
you
they're
know,
active again with all this bullshit.
He's
going
talking
on.
about running for mayor for New York City
Oh,
now.
look at that.
Yeah, he's one of the ones talking about
His face has been out there forever, so.
it. Yeah, he's been out there a long time. He also had a lot of write-ups with John Gotti and stuff where they said John had guys shoot him in the cab
Yeah, yeah.
that time. He's a publicity hound,
Ralph, when did the boys, talking about Gotti, when did the boys leave Webster Ave and go to Midtown?
Say that again?
When did the Italian Americans leave Webster Ave and go to Manhattan? What year was that?
You're talking about like the Italians on
Well, no, I'm
Arthur
talking about
Yeah.
the social club.
Arthur Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what happened with that is that was Arthur Avenue was a very Italian name.
The original.
Yeah, and
The original.
what happened was over the years, the Albanians moved in, and they started, Albanians started as supers and porters, and they were smart and hardworking, and they saved up their money, and they wound up buying a lot of buildings, you know, that they were supers in. And Arthur Avenue still has a few holdouts of the good Italian restaurants and bakeries.
Dominic's.
But a lot of the real estate was taken
Calabria
over.
Pork Store.
The Albanians moved into the Bronx in the mid-70s. And they just started taking over everywhere they were. They wound up buying. They were hard-working, saving up, and they.
That's what happens when you hit the
they
ground running.
moved on.
Work ethic.
Yeah.
Yep.
They bought the Italians out, and the Italians started moving to.
Because
Long Island and
they
Westchester.
started there, I'm talking about like the mob stuff, because they went from Arthur Ave, then they went to Mulberry and Manhattan.
Oh, that was back in that was in the 80s, low 80s. They had social clubs in the outer boroughs too. But I'm saying the real outflow of where the Italians lived in the Bronx was Arthur Avenue, and there was a smaller one called Villa Avenue, which was a little north west of that. You know.
I've been down there, Arthur Avenue. The first time I went down there, we went to some like a little open air mall. Got some sandwiches before the Yankee game.
Yeah, I think that area is still there.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I've never even seen this area. Never even heard of it.
I went a couple of weeks ago before Christmas to help out my Italian American friends and get them some stocking stuffers. Nothing like giving somebody the gift of dried meats. You know what I mean? You know?
I had a gang that I dealt with up there in the North Bronx a lot called the Purple Gang, which was an Italian mafia gang over there, and they weren't used to having their balls broken until I got there. I gave them some hard time.
Well, I'm sure you did.
You know, they were parking on the sidewalks in the hydrants. They had their club there. I started stopping them all, and I was a detective then. I carried a summons book. I was tagging them all. I was reporting all the information to the intelligence division. I collared them for guns. I started getting their cars towed off the sidewalk. Oh, they flipped out.
Pain in their ass.
Oh, man.
I knew a guy, rest his soul, and he said that when he got hired, he was an Irish dude. And he said they used to have a lot of problems at the Irish club here in town. He said if a cop went in there to say, you know, like guys would double park on this street over there by where the hell does that dive bar you used to go to over there behind Town for a Tire?
Oh, Foxy Ladies.
Foxy Ladies. Well, they used.
You taking it back? That's back.
So he said that they would send a beat walker in there, and he said the Irish dudes would just throw shot glasses and highball glasses. They said these guys were just flagrant. So a cop would go in there and be like, "Hey, who's double parked out here?" Whoom! A glass would fly, and you know.
You need
So
your freedman on the job.
so he said when he got in the academy, they're like, "Oh, you're Irish," and they're like, "Yeah." They're like, "Well, we're gonna send you over there, and you gotta try to tame your people."
No,
So-
I straightened them out right away. I was on day and night. And we got a lot of good intelligence from them. We got guns off the street. And they knew about my reputation, you know. So, you know, it worked out. But before that, there was, my brother had an incident where he got shot. He was off duty in a bar. And he got shot by some guy that was mob connected. And I went hunting for the guy, you know, along with the detectives had the case.
Yep.
I was doing it on my own with some of my partners and some off-duty cops, transit cops, and city cops. And word got out to this guy that I was after him, and I hit a few locations. And next thing we know, the detectives in the 4-3 precinct got a call, and they said they got a call from a lawyer.
He
Said,
wanted to turn himself
He's
in.
going to turn himself in
I'm sure.
on the condition that I stay 3 miles away from the precinct.
Anybody seen Richie? Anybody seen Richie?
And he surrendered, and then we went to court. And while I was sitting in court, right, I was sitting in the first couple of rows with the police officers assigned to, and his lawyer goes up to the judge and in open court says, "Your Honor, I would like to have that man tossed from the courtroom. He's a known killer." And the judge, he points to me, and I got my shield on. The judge looks at it and says, "He's a police officer. He'll be allowed to stay here."
Yeah, that was then. Now they would have kicked you out.
Oh,
Ain't that some
man.
shit?
You would have intimidated him, and he had
He wound
PTSD.
up taking a plea. He did like 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
You know, he went to shoot my brother in the head. My brother was fast enough that he put up his arm and he caught the bullet in his elbow.
Oh.
You know, in his tricep
Yep.
above the elbow.
So your brother was a transit cop. How many years was he on the job?
I think he did like 20 years. He did 20.
Yeah. You retired in '84.
He did about 22 years. 22.
You retired in '84 after a car accident. You
Yeah,
broke.
the auto accident that ended my career was in August 1st of 1983.
'83.
83, but I was carried on the books until, because I was in the hospital, a line of duty injury. I broke 23 bones, I shattered my hip in 100 pieces, broke my pelvic, left, right, upper and lower. And
Lord.
that was just when I got into the hospital. Then I caught a bunch of stuff in the hospital. Caught a blood disease in there, got pneumonia, bed sores.
We have the technology. We can rebuild him.
I was there
No, no, no.
three months in the hospital.
Wow.
You know, but they carried me until January 30th of 1984. So I completed 14 years.
Gotcha.
But I just got back from a motorcycle trip, and I used to do most of the driving. But my partner Timmy Kennedy was driving. We were close friends on and off duty, so I told him to drive. Not that it was his fault, but we were going. We got a call around 9:30 at night, and we had a call of a cop in trouble. He was calling at 10:13, and we knew it was a founded one, not unfounded, because you get unfounded ones where people just call and it comes through CU.
Yep.
But this was a founded one because the officer was calling for help. So we were racing there, and we were driving west. We were going to go
1013 was an officer
for
now.
officer in trouble,
Gotcha.
and this officer was calling it on himself. So we were heading west on Bedford Park, and we were going to head all the way down to Jerome and make a left going south.
Gino.
Down. And what happened was a police car. We were on an unmarked Ferrari, little small Plymouth.
Jimmy's mom used to drive a Larry. She used to think it was
I
a
was
right
on
to
undercover
7th
car.
grade. That's how we used to get the scooter. Jimmy's mom.
Slant
Larry.
6,
And
baby.
a radio car coming south. On
My
Jerome.
mother's listening too.
Plowed
She's gonna
right
talk
into the
shit.
side. Right into T-boned us.
Wow.
Hit me in the side. And they, you know, the accident investigation squad, part of motorcycle division, they couldn't even get a read on how fast they were going because they needed at least 30 feet of rubber to determine speeds and stuff. They had no rubber. They never
Holy
touched the
shit,
brake.
Yeah, never hit
Went
the
right
brake.
into me, probably doing about 75 miles an hour.
Holy shit.
You know, so I didn't even know what hit me. And it took them a couple of hours. They had to get the fire department to cut me out of the car. I was only knocked out for like maybe a minute or two, but I went into shock and I didn't know it. They told me that I was talking to them the whole time.
Holy shit.
I didn't know what hit me until 2 weeks later. Because once I got to the hospital, they put me on such drugs and stuff. I didn't know anything for 2 weeks.
That's what happens when you get hit by a car that was advertised by Ricardo Montalban.
And if I had my seatbelt on, believe it or not, I would have been killed. Because the floor came up, the roof came down, the sides came in, and I got thrown under the dash. But if I was in the seatbelt, I would have been, you know, the roof and the
Yeah,
floor would crush
Wow.
me.
Ain't that
So, one of those rare accidents, a low percentage where not wearing a seatbelt saves you.
Yeah.
Ralph, did they ever bring you in for like an academy class and have you talked to a class or talk to guys that are doing the plain clothes?
No,
They-
I feel I did speeches for a lot of police organizations, but you know that other stuff is, you know.
I just feel that, like, you know, they throw away talent or they don't acknowledge talent sometimes, and you know, you might have a guy who, as your people say, the chutzpah, right? You know, the moxie, that, you know, they might have the inclination, and you know, you might have some words for a dude like that, but they won't tap the source because the social decay of the modern day bitch
Well, I was gonna
assness that
say-
we're in,
I was
that
gonna
you're
say-
you're looked at as you're a dinosaur, and we don't, you know, and it just that shit bothers me.
If they had me go to a class, they would just say everything this guy says, just do the opposite.
But you're the real Jilly, Ralph. You're the real
But,
Jilly 8 days a week, brother.
They don't want police officers of the caliber that we were.
You know,
You
they want.
know, they used to turn us out, and they would tell us, "Listen, you're the good guys. You go out there and you lock bad guys up. We want the city streets safe." They encourage us to do proactive policing. Today, it's not. They don't want proactive policing.
But they have you go.
But I do speak in places. I spoke to the FBI. I was called in, not the FBI, but New York City police officers and bosses that graduated from the police academy, the FBI academy. And I've made appearances at different police functions, police organizations. I've done about 40 or 50
Dope.
appearances that I do. And they're on my website. Most of them are being put on my website now, which most of them are on BronxStreetWarrior.com. But I do make as many appearances as I could. The last year has been very tough because of the COVID. I had a lot of planned events, and they got
Yeah,
canceled.
global monkey wrench has kicked everybody in the shit,
Yeah,
you know.
I was really on a roll. I must have lost about, I'd say probably about 24 things I was supposed to do.
Yeah,
You
'cause,
know, and that got canceled. I do a lot of book signings at car shows, but I do make a lot of appearances at organizations, and all of those appearances got canceled.
That's so cool because, like I said, man, you're the real deal, and you know you're what policing should be about. But unfortunately, you got these number crunchers, administrative, pencil pushing.
They
You
don't
know,
want any waves. They don't want people complaining about it.
Status
You know,
quo, status
everybody
quo.
makes the status quo. Everybody
Status
makes the
quo.
newspapers.
Yeah, you
Things I
know.
did would, probably wouldn't. No, not probably. They wouldn't be tolerated today.
So talk about tolerating today. Just like when you punched the dude, when you laid him out on the
Oh
boardwalk.
my God! Be a front page. Of the paper. I'd be indicted instead of him for burglary.
You know?
Yep.
You know, I was just glad in the show when they said, "Yeah, it was him." I was like, "Yes," you know.
I'll tell you another funny story that definitely wouldn't be tolerated today.
Go for it.
We were after a couple of these drug deals, and how we got onto them was the neighborhood, the decent citizens were writing into the commanding officer of the precinct and complaining about these two drug deals that were out there every single day. And so the boss assigned me and my partner to them. And, my partner was Timmy Kennedy at the time, which was one of my best, was without a doubt my best detective partner. And we went after this guy, right? These two guys. We couldn't get them. We went there in different unmarked cars. We went there with private cars. We even went there with my Harley Davidson. And we went up on a motorcycle. Couldn't get these guys. So we decided one day we were going to do it from the roof. You know, every time
Again, you
couldn't
sit there
get
and look
them.
up.
You know, well, it wasn't looking up. Here's what we had to do. What we did was we entered the block, and we were going to cross the roofs. Well, normally, all the roofs are connected, right? And we were going to cross the roofs and then watch it, right? And we told the radio car that when we get into position, when we're on the landing on the top floor, we're in the building and we want to get to it, you pull up with the light and siren like you're going to jump out, and these guys would run into the courtyard, lock the door, and go into the building, and we know where they're going, right? So we get up there and we're crossing the roofs, and we come to the last roof of the building where we're going, and would you believe it wasn't attached?
Oh shit.
It was like about a 5 or 6 or 7 foot difference. So we're saying, oh man, can we jump it? What do we do, you know? So, and it's like 6 stories high, right? And there was no fire escape, no landing, nothing. So we look around and we find a plank of wood, right? So we put the plank of wood across the thing, right? And we cross the roof one at a time. And you know, we're 6 stories up, you know? So we were fucking crazy, man. We do this, right? So we cross the roof, we get into the building, and we tell the radio car, okay. So they go racing up to the building, and these guys run into the building, and here we are coming down, and we catch these guys. And we tossed them every which way and couldn't find nothing. We were after these guys for weeks, doing this every day, right? We were so upset, we told the guys, get undressed. Guy looks at us, what? We get undressed.
Chicka bone, bone.
Took all their clothes, everything. I'm talking balls ass naked. And we sent them back on the street.
Fuck it, you wasted my
Can you
time.
imagine? They walked through the whole fucking neighborhood. They never came back again. And
Oh, shit.
we got so many letters of commendation from people. Oh, great, Friedman and Kennedy got rid of him.
Oh
got
my
rid of
God.
him. You imagine what
Today
they
you
do
make
to us
national
today?
news.
Just picture today's atmosphere.
You be making national news for that.
We'd be locked up for robbery,
Oh my
taking their
God,
clothes,
yes.
humiliating them. They were so humiliated that they never dealt drugs there again. They were walking absolutely naked through the street.
That's
Made them
shit.
leave. Could you imagine today?
Holy.
They're on their way to Bellevue.
But we straightened out a problem. We took care of a problem
That's it.
that, was a problem to the neighborhood, and they wanted it gone, and we did it.
And that's the problem today. People identify the problems, but they don't want you to solve them.
They don't want they want them solved, but they don't want to know how you did it.
Exactly.
And if they catch how you did it, they want to hang you.
Yeah.
So many people.
You know, no, people don't appreciate what the police do, and they should be thankful that there's men and women that want to do this job. These are people that want to take a bullet for a stranger.
That's why I love
That's
that.
what it comes down to.
That's why I love the handful of reporters that would actually put themselves in the position, went through a little class or whatever, and then you see they always change their perspective
Of
at the end of
course,
the class.
let them go in an alleyway.
I wish
at
they
3 in
would
the morning
all
and see
take
what
the
it's
time to
like.
go through it.
You know,
Yep.
they'd be shaking, they'd be scared, they'd shit their pants.
You know, you got people that talk a lot of shit. I've had one or two people on Facebook, and I tell them, you're more than welcome to come to my place and do some munitions. On me. I'm picking up the tab. They don't want to do it. Because they know. You know, split-second decisions have to be made.
Of
You
course.
don't have the time to, let me ponder, let me elaborate, let me reference. There's no time for none of that jackassery.
They want results, but they don't want to. They don't want to know how.
Once again, everybody wants to eat a steak. Nobody wants to take it to slaughter.
Right.
Cats want to eat a
Kill the
steak.
cow.
Yep.
No, nobody.
They wanna
No,
eat the steak.
nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody wants to see it in the cellophane.
I get into arguments all the time on Facebook, and I try to keep it civil. But I'll tell you one, I posted something that I asked people for their opinions. And I just put down this girl, you'll know the incident, that accused a black kid of taking her phone,
Oh yeah.
and then she fled to California. She went home. She was visiting New York. Now, what I put down was, I definitely believe the girl was wrong. She accused somebody who didn't do what she thought, and then a few minutes later, or like 10 minutes later, a cab driver came back.
Came in and
and
bought her
she
phone
left
back.
the phone-
Yeah, she
the
left it
phone
in the
back.
cab. Yeah, I saw that.
But they made such a big deal about this case. This was, she, I think, pushed them, shoved them. The kid's father was there. They made it into a racial thing, which it wasn't.
And the kid's father was a famous
Musician.
musician or something.
But he was
yes.
filming it.
Yeah, he was
wasn't it?
filming the whole time. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
kid is being,
Yeah.
quote, assaulted, which he wasn't being assaulted.
And now this was like
She
a
might have
time.
got pushed down or something, but this was not a crime. And the picture in the news or the Post had them bringing her back from California. They said New York City detectives out there and brought her back in shackles, not just handcuffs, leg shackles. I just thought this was ridiculous, and it was a sign of the times. Of you got people burning and looting stores in Manhattan. Mayor tells every cop to stand down, and you send detectives to bring them down in leg shackles. And it wasn't a crime. This was harassment. Harassment is not a crime, it's a violation. Misdemeanors and felonies are crime. And to send people to California, we don't do that for other crimes that are crimes. This was a violation.
Send her an
And,
email. Hey,
some-
show up by next week. or
Obviously,
whatever.
That's
some
sick.
people, disputed this on 99% of the people. I got tremendous, feedback on this. I mean, it's still going on. I went to my house. I put it down 2 days ago. It's still going on.
Still going on.
Right? Bruce is a friend of mine on Facebook. He knows, and he sees.
It's pretty funny.
And
People don't get the point.
it was such a
Leg
political
irons
move.
and quarterbacking. No.
Political move by. We don't do that for murderers. We'll send detectives there.
Yep.
They ain't coming back and leg.
Unless the dude is combative, we don't put those on. It's all,
Yeah, that's more like for a terrorist or something.
But once again, like you said, it's all a power move. It's all about trying to,
that was strictly politics.
and that's the problem is they're trying to appease everybody. Everything is now to appease everybody and make them happy. I was at the range one day, and I'm good friends with the guy that owns the range that I used, and we've been friends, good Lord, since '93, and so every time I go in there, he's always busting my chops, whatever. So he goes, hey, when you're done shooting, come to the back. So, I'm done shooting with my client. I go to the back. He's back there with a couple of his crew. They're back there playing, pinochle or whatever old white dudes do. I don't know. They're chilling. And he goes, hey, Jim, he goes, what do you think about this, these new words in our language and all this stuff? And I go, new words? I go, my man, I speak Spanish. My language is geared towards masculine or feminine. I said, that's you cats making up new words to fucking oblige cats and calling them this or that. I said, bro, I know him or her, masculine or feminine. I really can't rock with you on that. I don't speak that Transformer shit.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And he started, and all these guys, a lot of them, war veterans, they started laughing at me. And they're like, are you? I'm like, I don't know about that, my man. I said, I'm masculine or feminine, and and this shit that the birth, this shit that you don't put nothing on a birth certificate and you let them decide what they want to be. You know what, man? I wish I had that. I would have been a freaking, I don't know, Saudi prince, some oil baron. I didn't want to be from the Bronx. You know what I mean?
It's absolutely insane.
I identify as a millionaire's kid or something. I don't know, man.
Well, you see the new thing, how these freaking pedophiles are trying to get off of this.
Oh.
You see this? Now, their excuse is, I'm a grown man, right? But I identify as a 12-year-old girl. So what do 12-year-old girls like? 12-year-old little boys. They think they're going to get away with that bullshit. Are you fucking kidding me? The crazy thing is that the crazy thing is that this fucking country will entertain that bullshit.
True.
That's the crazy fucking thing.
It's a scary thing. Unbelievable.
Yep. So going back to what we're saying, you definitely wouldn't be able to do this job now, huh?
No, I don't think
You
so.
lose your shit
I
in a
always
minute.
thought I could adapt, but under these conditions, you can't restrain a guy by cutting off anything with blood flow or breathing. But you can't touch his throat, the back of his neck. You can't touch his rib cage on either side, his chest or his back. How do you fight? You need 4 guys, one to take each arm and one leg.
Gotta
Each
tickle
leg. You can't.
Hope he submits.
I'm teaching
They
dirty.
got no rules, the bad guys.
I'm teaching dirty looks, Ralph Freeman. If you want to come by one day and take a class,
I'm pretty good at that.
it's preposterous and it scares me. It scares me, and because I think, where are we going? And and I've said it before. At least I know 10 years from now, you're not going to need a gun. Why? Because look at these kids now. They're allergic to life. 10 years from now, you know what you're going to carry in your pocket? You're going to carry some peanuts and a little bit of flour. That's all you're going to need, man. You're not going to need a gun anymore. These kids are allergic to life.
Blow some flour in their face. They
I
got an
still
allergy.
think it's going to get worse before it gets better, but it will.
I'm
It's
just
gonna
gonna
turn again.
I'm just gonna
You
carry
can't
some
do
glutton
it
and some
right.
peanuts on me. That's it. A little flour, white death. But it's just it's scaring me to think, who's gonna be a cop in 15 years? Who's
What's
gonna?
another problem is that all the cops are retiring who have time on the job. Now,
course.
when I was on the job, they used to tease us, you're still a rookie for the first 20 years. Because everybody did 30, 35, 40 years.
Damn.
And these are the guys that train you. I mean, I was trained by guys that were in the streets for a while. They would tell you things. That's how you learn. And now the guys, when they get out of the academy today, they know their retirement date. They're going to be off the job. And they even change when you could vest out. Guys, you can leave 5 years now if you get out. And vest, you don't collect a pension or benefits till 15 years later, but you could get off the job. The thing is, people aren't staying over 20 years. That's the most. And there's no one to train. There's new guys are there, and there's other new guys.
But you got a dude with 2 years training him.
You're right. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, you got a dude with 2 years training him, and he got more stories than the bottle's got songs. And you're like, how the hell are you training somebody?
Right, they got guys with 3 years training guys with 1 year.
You got a guy that's never seen anything teaching somebody that's never
Exactly.
seen.
You need what the departments are doing by creating this situation where people are leaving is they're getting rid of people that have experience, and that's something that you can't teach experience.
No.
The only way you get that is by doing the time and being involved.
Yep.
And experience is a very important thing in police work too.
The people don't want to get involved because guess what? Now I roll up and now I'm liable for everything I say, everything I
Exactly.
do because I'm not protected because everybody's scared.
Let me hang back. It ain't a hang back sport. It ain't a spectator sport, my man.
No, it's not.
This is, you got to jump into the deep end of the pool, like it or not.
And being this hanging back and stuff makes the perpetrators feel more empowered. So they'd be more brazen.
And it also allows them to mutate.
I'll give you a perfect example. The other day I'm coming out of work, I'm going through the center of town, and I see there's like 6 kids on a sidewalk in front of the bank on bikes, teenagers. The cop comes around the corner, rolls his window down and addresses them. You guys are obstructing the sidewalk, people are trying to get into the bank.
Keep it moving, Papa Wheel.
One kid Make sure he got like 10 feet back before he started popping off, talking all this shit. And I'm sitting there looking at him. I looked at the cop. I was like, I have no uniform on. Just look at me and give me the green light. I'll go smack all the little kids for you, man. This generation, they feel so entitled. They feel like they
it's
can talk
also,
shit
even if
and
you
get
get
away with
police
it.
that do policing,
Yeah.
the courts don't back them up. They don't prosecute. And then if you get someone who prosecutes it, then the judge will throw it out. So they know there's no penalty, even if they get caught or they get brought in. It's a sad situation. Police can't do the job themselves. They've got to have DAs that back them up and judges that put people away when the DAs do prosecute.
Starts at home.
And they don't have that, so it takes the winds out of their sails.
Starts
Why-
at home.
How could you do? You know, the police are just the first line of the defense. You got to have the DAs and judges there. If they don't do their part, it doesn't matter what the police do. Then they're just spinning their wheels.
They all got their own agenda. Everybody's looking to move up, so they don't want to offend nobody.
Yeah, that's the whole thing is about offending.
Yep.
Al Friedman, any regrets?
None.
None. Love it.
None.
I love it.
No regrets, just
Sorry,
lessons
I
learned.
loved the job, had a great time. Didn't like the way it ended, I didn't have a choice, but part of the territory, you know, as a cop, you're doing dangerous stuff, you're gonna get hurt. Thank God I was still able to walk away from it. You know, could have been a bullet that ended my life, you know, but no regrets. Loved the job, loved the time.
Why didn't, when you got out, why didn't you get into like some PI work or, you
Well,
know?
first of all, I was very injured,
Oh.
so it took a long time to get back to where first of all, I could even walk, no less getting into a good fighting shape again, you know. I have restrictions where I can't run. I used to be a big jogger. After I worked out for 2 or 3 hours, I jogged.
You could speed walk.
I never got a new hip, so I can't put pounding on it.
You know.
I'm not a big fan of surgery.
You know.
So
I
you know,
gotta-
I just had to change my lifestyle, but it took years to get back to get my body repaired. You know, by myself with therapy and training, get back. When I went back to the gym, you know, I was working out in 5 minutes and had to lay down for 7 hours. Then I started reversing it, you know, put it in 10 minutes, lay down for 6 hours, you know, keep getting better. And it took a lot of time. And then I sort of settled down. I didn't date anymore. I found one girl who stuck by me through my surgery, through my hospitalization. And still with her 38 years later.
God bless you.
And we did some traveling to the islands and stuff. And just took it easy for a while. And I just started working again about 2 years ago and got into some security work. About 4 years ago.
Nice.
You know, I did some security work. And
No,
That's
but
it.
looking at you, look like you can still put a hurting on some people.
72 in a couple of days.
It looks like you can still put a hurting on some people. I wouldn't
Well,
fuck with
I
you.
still try to stay in shape, you know.
Yeah.
I might get greasy at the mouth, but I would have stepped to you.
No.
I might get slick, which is I'm walking away. I might talk some shit as I'm walking away. But yeah, that's good that you got
No
no
regrets,
regrets.
you know.
That's fabulous. You got no regrets, Ralph.
I gotta admit, I'm very lucky. I had a great life. I had great partners in the police department. And if you notice, my book, Street Warrior, is dedicated to all the guys I worked with, the whole NYPD, and to specifically to certain partners and guys in my units.
Your book is a testimony to who you are, to what you did. It's a great read. I'm definitely no scholar for reading.
My co-writer on the book is Pat Piccarelli.
Mhm.
He was a retired police officer also. He got out as a lieutenant, but he started out in a unit called TPF, which is a very proactive policing, which we probably definitely need today. But they ended that unit in 1984. But that was a very tough cops in that unit. And it was great working with Pat doing that book because I didn't have to explain police stuff. We were on the same job, so he understood the language. Where if I was working with a civilian writer, you know, I'd tell him a 1085 or 1013 or 49. I got to explain it to him.
You can't fall into a groove with a guy like that.
You know, the funny thing is, I never met Pat to this day. You know, and the book's been out like 3 years, and I've worked with Pat for 2 years before that on the book and going through the procedure. And we never met. We did everything by telephone and email, and we still haven't met.
That's something else. Ain't
Yeah.
that something? Huh?
We're gonna try to make it happen soon, but
no, you got to do it. You got to do it because
Yeah.
you know,
you know-
he lives very far away. That's how we did it. But we met through a mutual friend on Facebook.
Ain't that something?
The guy knew me, and then Pat heard me, and this guy knew Pat, and he put us together, and we hit it off right away. It was a pleasure working with him, and he understood everything, because he worked in ghetto precincts,
Yeah.
he'd been in all those buildings, he's been, you know, in uniform, he's been in plain clothes, he's been a boss. He just knew everything about the job, and made the whole job. That's why I think the book came out so good, thanks to Pat.
You get positive feedback on the book. People you
All
work
the
with,
time,
everybody
yeah.
liked it.
Oh, all the time. It's an easy read book, what they call easy
Yeah,
read.
yeah.
There's no complicated words, you know, it got a lot of great feedback. On Amazon, I think there's like over 300 book reviews.
Yeah.
And out of the 300, I think like 297 are positive.
Karen.
Yep. Of course, it's Karen again. I didn't agree.
Oh my God, I found him offensive. Some of them, some of his terms.
One was a cop's wife wrote me
What,
on the feedback and said, I think he's too violent. You know, but you know,
Yeah, given the time, you have to be that.
given
way.
the time and given the kind of criminals that anti-crime cops and cops in general had to work with on the streets, we've dealt with vicious criminals, and the only way to take down a violent criminal is to be more violent.
That's what
It's
criminals
the
were
only way you can do.
criminals.
That's all they understand. That's the only way to stop them.
Yeah, that's when criminals were criminals.
You know?
I just retired from the Department of Corrections. We got nothing but a bunch of bitches in that age.
You know, to stop a bad guy with a gun, you need a good guy with a gun. You know,
Bingo.
you got to be
You know,
more violent than them to stop them.
That's it.
You know, and people, they don't want to hear about that, but they sleep in their beds better at night because of it.
they don't want to know about you, but you know what I mean? But they, you know, what did Jack Nicholson say? You need me on that line. You want me on that line, but you don't want to talk about me at parties.
But you know my famous line, well, the famous line I like to use is, nobody likes a warrior until the enemy's at the gate.
Until you need them.
Yep.
Until you need them. You know, people will bash you. People say, "Oh my God, you're this, you're that."
And then when the shit hits the fan, oh the fuck, who can hang? Oh, that bad motherfucker. Hey, can you go take care of that? Nah,
Well, you know, I had a great career because I had great partners and great backup. You know, when I was in anti-crime, I had this guy, Lester Rudnick, was my best partner. And when I went to the detective unit, I had a guy named Roger Cortez who was my partner. And then I went to Tim Kennedy. He was my best partner in the detective bureau. And I had great partners, I worked in great units, they had great backup. Otherwise, there's no way I could have done it. Couldn't take on the whole Bronx myself, you know, but I had great backup, great partners, and it made my career.
Badass, Ralph Friedman. Ramon, anything else for we could have
No,
closed?
I think we got pretty good into this today.
You know what I mean? That's
That was an honor being on your show.
oh
Kim.
man, brother.
Hey,
Like
that was all ours. You're a legend.
I'd
before
like
we
to do
go,
it again sometime.
no,
Do
you know,
it again. I got a million more
Ralph,
stories.
Ralph,
We really didn't even touch on it,
Ralph, you got a spot here, bro. You got a spot here. Shout out to Johnny K, Johnny Kaprinsky.
Mutual friend of ours.
You know, the way, you know, it works in mysterious ways. You know, they say your vibe attracts your tribe. Thank you so much for connecting us. People, check it out right here, Street Warrior. Check out the series. You know,
Justice
you know
Abroad.
this ain't no fake stuff. This ain't no Hollywood dudes. You know, trying to fake the funk.
Go on his website, streetjusticewarrior.com.
You know,
BronxStreetWarrior.com.
Street
Bronx
Wa-
Street Warrior.
BronxStreetWarrior.com. Let me get that correct.
check them out. Like I said, Ralph, you got a permanent spot here, bro. Whenever you want to come through,
you, Jim.
we you know what I mean. We definitely this ain't the end of this.
I'll definitely be back, and I'll bring a couple other guests.
You know, thank you, Caps. You know what I mean? Hearing that side of, you know, the chaos in the air, should we say? This stuff, you know, this stuff never ends. Thank you for bringing the rest of your entourage here with us and kicking it with us today. Thank you for coming to our humble studio. What you got here tonight, Ralph, is a big part of my e-board. It doesn't happen without
Great
these guys.
crew. John
Doesn't-
Krasinski told me right from, I told him what's coming on, says you're gonna love it, these guys are great up there.
Yeah. Oh,
And
he was
100% right.
he was
Appreciate it.
he was on fire. You're a great American, great law enforcement. I think in 1977 when David Bowie wrote Heroes, if we could be heroes just for one day, we'd be Ralph Friedman.
There you go.
People,
Thank you.
people, thank you for riding with us tonight on a Highly Unoffended with Ralph Friedman. As Ramon likes to say, take care of each other. Try to be a better human being. You know what, man? Take care of each other. Good night, America, wherever you are.
Very good.